I'm Kev.
And I'm Steve.
And we're from the internet.
Want to get your question answered on a future episode of We're From The Internet? Head over to we'refromtheinternet.com/question, tweet your questions at KevinSteve, email kevinsteve@gmail.com, or post them at facebook.com/KevinSteve, or even leave them in the comments for this episode.
Hi, Kevin and Steve. My question is, do we have free will? Thank you.
Call me Kevin. I don't like being called Kevin.
Well, Kevin, do we have free will?
I don't know. If we do, Mr. Ahmed, who put that question in for us, can you go back and refer to me as Kev rather than Kevin?
No, he uses free will. You don't tell him what to do.
Nah.
I think that if we don't have free will, then it'd just be a bit weird, wouldn't it? I don't know.
What do you mean?
Well,
I don't understand.
To not have free will would kind of assume that there's something out there that's dictated everything we
Yeah, you're
do.
just a puppet.
But where would be the sense in that?
Where would be the sense in that?
Well, what would be the point in there being a universe where something was puppeteering everything?
What's the point in the universe now? There's no point. We're just
Exactly.
organisms.
So
we survive purely to create more of ourselves.
Exactly.
That's the only reason we exist.
So if we don't exist for any reason, then it makes more sense for there to be no reason and we're just getting on with it than it does for there to be some puppet making us have this conversation.
But perhaps we're all just working on instinct all the time. Perhaps free will assumes you're making a decision. Are we making decisions, or are we just rationalising impulsive, instinctive actions after the event? Is the human gift that we've got just that we can rationalise our own irrational behaviour? Are we deciding what we're going to do in advance, or are we just making it make sense afterwards?
I mean, I could just flip that laptop over right now. Wouldn't that be my free will to do so?
Or you were always supposed to flip the laptop over?
But I don't want to because I want the show to be on. So my free will is kind of... No, I mean, I tend to do what I feel like I want to do. But I know what you mean. Am I destined to do that anyway? I guess so, maybe. I mean, sometimes things just happen, don't they? But...
Everything happens for a reason, sheepdog.
But I don't want to live in a world where everything happens for a reason, and so that sometimes, like, an entire country can be wiped out by a tsunami, and it happened for a reason. And it's like, I don't want whatever that reason isn't good enough. Do you get what I mean? So I'd like to think nothing happens for a reason, because the thought of stuff happening for a reason means there's lots of death and lots of pain that's caused for some completely unreasonable reason.
You're an unreasonable reason.
Your face is an unreasonable reason. My
shoe is so uncomfortable. Is that? I don't know how related that is to free will, but I've had this same pair of shoes for the last 2 years, but just this last week it's become really uncomfortable on my right foot. I think I've got a bunion.
Yeah, well.
What is a bunion?
So maybe you're always meant to. Maybe you're being sidelined into, you'll go the bunion man, and he'll fix it, and you'll meet a man. I don't know.
The bunion man. Is a bunion man a thing?
Sometimes I go through phases, because sometimes I believe in free will, and sometimes I won't. Like, for years, I've always assumed I'll just learn how to drive at some point, and that's kind of happening at the moment.
Well, no, at the moment you've decided to go out and get driving lessons. That's not you just learning.
But for years, my mind just couldn't do it. And then when I was doing lessons, I hated them and just wanted to kind of drive the car into a ditch and run. And now, inexplicably, something's clicked and I'm enjoying it, and I reckon I'll be passed sometime in the next month or so. And it's really bizarre. And I always assumed
all the best people pass fifth time.
Oh, I don't mean it's going to be first time. I'll just chain book lessons, tests. But I figure the reason why it's fine now is because this is when I was meant to pass. But at the same time, I think that's just silly. I imagine I just grew up enough that I needed to enough, and my brain rationalised it. But that doesn't mean it was not free will. I just assume we have free will. I don't know, just...
It's a confused one. Do animals have free will then?
Yeah, of course they do.
Do they though? Because they can't think, can they?
They do, but they kind of learn not to do stuff. Obviously, when you first got your dog, he just did whatever he wanted.
He still does whatever he wants.
No, he used to go toilet wherever he wanted.
He still goes
try and
toilet
bite you
wherever he
if
wants.
you tried to take food off him. And now he's learned if he tries to bite you, he gets told off.
So that's not his free will. He wants to bite me, but he can't.
Yeah, but that's different. That's living by rules, isn't it? That's realising that there's rules to the... I mean, yeah, we all live under the rules of the society we live in, and we all live under whatever the government do. Obviously, there's people who decide on their own that they don't want to live by that rule. But again, that's part of free will, isn't it? You might be told, don't do that illegal thing, but you might decide, I'm doing it. Your dog could decide to just go toilet where it wanted and bite whatever it wants, but it doesn't because it doesn't want the punishment that comes with it or the result of it.
Do you like the unusual angle? I've got my hat on at the moment.
I disapprove of it.
Do you? How would you
Disapprove
prefer
of
it? Shall I wear it like this if I turn it around backwards?
That suits you more.
Do I look cool like that?
Yeah,
I like
it suits you more.
what I really want is just I need a little bit more hair at the front. Sorry, I forget what I'm talking to. I need a little bit more hair at the front there so that I can sort of pull it out.
You're not enjoying this
through the
free
gap.
will. It's making you all uncomfortable, isn't it?
I don't really get it. I don't understand.
Do you think you have complete control over what you do?
Yes.
You think?
End of podcast.
So you don't think your future is already defined in
Nope.
any kind of way?
I
No?
could die right now. The massive coronary.
Well, you could, but would you be dying as a result of things you've done? Or would
Yes,
it just
I'd be dying as a result of eating too much and not getting enough exercise.
There you go. So we've agreed free will exists.
Which is why I'm talking about my hat and my uncomfortable shoes, because we've got another 5 minutes
Well,
of podcast to fill.
What?
You don't understand the premise of this show, man. What's wrong with
I
you?
definitely do. I'm trying to stay on topic, and I'm thinking this is quite a good one, because why do people think we don't have free will then?
Because of religion.
Do you think people have
Do we want to get into that big old topic with
No.
4 minutes left to go?
But do you think people have just come to think maybe we don't have free will because then it means that they're more likely to give up?
People use it as an excuse for bad decisions and apathy. This is supposed to be a comedy podcast, so I'm getting up on my soapbox.
No, exactly.
Yeah, people use it as an excuse for failing. Oh, well, it was out of my control. I didn't do very well because, I'm naturally not very good at doing that thing. I wanted to swear then. I can't remember if we swear on this
We
show
don't
or not.
swear on this.
Do we not swear? I can take the explicit tag off then, probably. But, we could decide tomorrow that we're going to go and be on TV, and the only thing stopping us being on TV is if we're not any good at being on TV.
Do you know what? One thing that bothers me about free will, actually, I don't want to live in a county run by a specific political party, and I'm not going to get all political, but it's kind of like, I don't really get a choice in that.
Yeah, you do. You can move.
I suppose I actually didn't really think about that. I could move to White, but then there's not many that would...
Buy your own island. Buy the Isle of Wight.
So you're proving
Is
me
that
wrong.
for sale?
No, you're right. You're right. I could, if I'm not happy, I could just go elsewhere. You're right.
There you go. Painted your wagon,
No,
didn't you?
that's good. I tell my wife. I told her I want to go move out into the middle of the ocean, and she didn't. She didn't fancy it.
What, she didn't want you to go, or she didn't want to go with you?
Her response was, "You don't want to go in the garden. You don't like leaving the sofa."
Yeah, you wouldn't get internet out in the middle of the ocean. How would you live? What would you despise more? Living in a system that you didn't agree with, or living in a world without the internet?
Well, I'd forget about everyone if I lived at sea.
What about the internet?
I wouldn't care because I wouldn't have to read everyone's news.
Where would you get the football results from? I haven't read any news for the last 6 weeks. It's brilliant.
Well, exactly. I'd forget about football. I'd forget about news. I'd forget about people's problems because I can't control people's pain or their stupidity. So I might as well just live on a boat in the middle of nowhere.
Become a politician. Learn to control
I
your
can't
stupidity.
with my past, the things I've said on the internet. It just wouldn't be allowed.
You could be the honest politician. What you'd do is, on the very first day that you decided to stand for election, you just come out and say, right, this is all the stuff I've done. You've got no dirt on me now. I've done all this, but I think you should disregard all that or use it as evidence of my excellent character building and the fact that I am just like you lot. I'm an idiot. I say stupid stuff. I do the wrong things. But you know what? This is what I want to do now. I'm being honest with you. Vote for me. Don't vote for me. I'm not that bothered. I don't really want to have to give up my job and go and work in London. The commute will kill me, but whatever. Vote for me.
You're living in 10 Downing Street, obviously.
I'm not sure you understand quite how politics works.
Um,
I've been thinking I might become a politician.
You wouldn't get away with it either. I think
500 quid to stand as an independent. That's all it costs.
people just wouldn't vote for either of
I
us.
don't care. I wouldn't be doing it for the votes. I'd be doing it just to stick it on the TV. Stood for election in 2015. Might do it.
See, I was talking to my
Vote for
sister.
Kev.
I was talking to my sister about it, and she was like, "Just get into it if you're that bothered." Because I was getting wound up, and I was like, "It just wouldn't work. There'd be too much stuff." I know what you mean. Put it all out there, but people
For
are
£3
just
grand, we can
stupid.
form our own political party. I was reading about it yesterday. We'll talk off air. Let's form a political party.
We should. All this lot of helpers.
Want to support the show? Do all your Amazon shopping through we'refromtheinternet.com/Amazon, and it doesn't cost you anything extra, but we get a little kickback on everything you buy.